repayment amount must not exceed 30% of your net income. So when the interest rates go down, it means your repayment component then goes down, and it doesn't affect salaries, considering that an increase in the repo rate, it does a direct effect on the increase in interest rates that are charged by banks or those lenders. It has that effect. So now, if you look at the trends now, when we went to lockdown, or just after lockdown, or maybe when it was a bit eased, when people were starting to, for those ones who are frontline workers that started to go to work and everything. And people who started to buy properties by that time, they were now buying, if you could check, there was now a demand for like standalone houses. People moving away from sectional titles, like from complexes, because they were running away from the COVID infections and everything. So they would choose to say, if I can get a standalone house where I can stay with my family, we are all our family, we don't mix with other people. And then now people who were selling sectional title were affected, like buying for someone who is selling in a complex. They were being affected because people were now buying standalone houses.
Standalone houses.
Yes. They were now not looking at the security aspect, because most people, when they buy, they look at the security to say, if I'm buying to stay, I need where it's secured, like in an estate, like in a complex where there's security. But now, because of COVID, now the scope has changed. People were now buying not because of to look for security, but they were buying to say, I need where it's safe so that I don't mix with other people. Even those who were renting, they were starting to rent maybe ground floors, or maybe renting houses that are on their own to avoid COVID. So now this thing is it's a factor that is actually even affecting the property market in South Africa now, because if you look back, if you compare maybe 5 years ago, and then you compare in the current, issues to do with inflation, it's affecting as well.
Okay. So if it's like a buyer's market, does that mean that homes are cheaper now than they were pre-C19, or what?
Okay. A buyer's market doesn't necessarily mean that properties are cheap. And there's no any given point where properties go down, like in terms of price, because as we all assets that appreciate value over time. You see?
Okay, so if they appreciate over time, does that mean that the buyer's market means that there's just more people looking to buy, and so then the person who wants to buy can then negotiate for like a cheaper price? Was that what that means?
Okay. A buyer's market, to answer to that directly, a buyer's market happens not because of one factor. There are a lot of contributing factors that lead to a state where we can then say, with the current course of events, we are having a buyer's market or a seller's market. So I want to answer you on that in terms of the pricing of properties. Even if properties are high at that particular point, there are factors that can allow the market to be the buyer's market, even if the prices are high. You get the sense? So let me explain to that. For example, the houses, or maybe in a certain area, the average pricing is maybe 1.5 million. People are buying, or people that are not really buying. Now, the Reserve Bank then maybe says, okay, we are easing the repo rate, meaning if they reduce the repo rate, the interest rate, they go down, right? So once the interest rates go down, it doesn't mean that the price for that property goes down, but it allows more buyers to qualify.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And even on the affordability part of it, where we say your repayment amount must not exceed 30% of your net income. So when the interest rates go down, it means your repayment component then goes down, and it doesn't affect salaries. So banks, they start to approve more people. Not necessarily that prices have gone down of those properties, but because simply that the interest rate, they've gone down, so there are more people who can qualify to buy. Then it becomes a buyer's market.
I see. All right.
Yes. So it can be a buyer's market in the sense that inflation is gone up, or whatever, inflation or deflation, whatever the case may be. But when there's a supply, when the supply of properties that are on the market for sale, when we're looking at the demand and supply and demand part of it, of the property market, when we have more supply, like we've got more houses that are on the market, maybe people are selling, for example, they start selling maybe, okay, like now we are heading towards elections, right? So some people, they try to sell because people, of those who are politically conscious, they might say, oh, let's us dispose our properties because we don't know what happens after elections and everything. Then they can, the market itself responds to that, and now there are more sellers who sell their properties, but now there's a low demand for properties, right? So if there's a high supply of those properties and then there's low demand, because people who qualify to buy, they are very few.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a buyer's market on its own because there's more supply. So people, the buyers can have the negotiation power with those who are selling because there's a high supply of properties for sale that are chasing a very slim demand for those properties, or a very few buyers who are looking to buy.
Okay. All right.
So the opposite of that, where maybe buyers are a lot, right? And then the supply for those properties is very few. Then it becomes a seller's market, because sellers, there's no bargaining on that. With sellers, they say my property is going for 1.5 million. If buyers are coming to buy, sellers, they don't go down. Even with the 10 rand, they won't go down because they have the power in that particular moment. They have the power to sell at any price that they want.
Okay. Yeah. And is this the same in all like provinces? Is this like what we've been discussing now? It's the same principle that will happen in Gauteng as it will in the rest of South Africa?
Okay. I can say generally, because we are in the South African economy, right? So, but then when we are looking now at the macro and the microeconomics now of the, so we can even look at the Gauteng province economy. It's different from let's say maybe the Limpopo province economy there, or maybe the KZN, or maybe the Western Cape. So maybe we can use criteria now to say what makes these disparities in even in the same economy, but what makes it different that a property, because for example, a property that you get in Cape Town, whether for rent or for sale, if that property is in Gauteng, you might see that there's a difference there in prices there because of different economies of those provinces. Right.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So in the Western Cape, or maybe say in Cape Town, properties are highly priced. Or in some senses, we can say provinces that are in the coast, that those coastal provinces or coastal towns, their prices, they are a bit higher as compared to those provinces that are inland.
Okay.
Or those towns that are inland, for reasons that we all know, that people, when they come to South Africa, even tourists, even investors, even if they are buying properties, save for Gauteng, because Gauteng is the hub for all the business in South Africa. But when we want to see an investor buying a property, usually they don't go to they don't go to Limpopo usually. They don't go to Northwest. Especially we are talking of the residential property market, not on the commercial part of it. So when they buy, they look for here, in Johannesburg, they look for Pretoria, they go to Cape Town, they go to Durban, they go to East London there. So you see that those markets for those properties, they differ. If you do comparisons to say, in terms of one, the demand, in terms two, the pricing of those properties, they always differ, even though we are all in South Africa, but it doesn't really become at par with all those provinces. There are variances there.
Okay. Oh, nice.